What's up, people? This is Nature Girl 30 here, and as you can hear, well, actually, my voice really isn't all that bad, but this is pretty much a SmackDown review slash kind of my explaining my experience of actually being there at the show. So I'm recording this tonight. Today is Tuesday. Well, actually, it's now Wednesday because it's 12:47 p.m. 12:47 a.m. So I'm actually recording this now, and I'm gonna probably upload it on Friday. So I am not cheating or anything. If anybody wants to sue me or whatever. But the one thing I can say is that this is pretty much my first SmackDown taping. The SmackDown that I went to before was a house show. This is the actual one that's going to be taped and actually going to be aired on Friday. So this was a huge experience for me. So pretty much this is not going to be a review because it's really, really different going there live than actually seeing it on TV. So it's difficult to actually make a review because it's so different. There's so many things that they actually leave on the cutting room floor. So I'm not going to actually grade this. I'm just going to pretty much give you the lowdown on what happened and also my experience and how I actually saw everything. Now, I'm going to go into this. I never really knew that for a SmackDown taping, they actually have three shows in one. When I actually got there, unfortunately, when I was about an hour late, so I got there around 8, and NXT was wrapping up. Then after that, they had Superstars, and they actually did Superstars. It was Yoshitatsu versus Hunico. That happened to be a good match, and it really did make me sad that that match was not on the air. That was a very, very good match. Very wonderful, decent match at that. I really did enjoy myself, and it was a shame that Yoshi didn't win. But if it was on the air, they would have gotten the credit that they both deserved. So it was actually a really great show. Moving on to actual SmackDown. Now, I had a chance to like literally soak everything in because I was on the floor. So I was like literally soaking things in, looking around the room. The one thing that I have noticed is if you during a WWE event, you would think that the parking lot would be full, right? Well, there was a lot of empty parking spaces, and there was a lot of empty slots on the floor, and tons of like the seats out there, like on the first row or whatever. Some of them were empty. Here's my theory. My theory is that there are some people that had realized that Randy Orton was not going to be there, and they walked out. There were people actually leaving because Randy Orton was not there. And I felt really bad for the kids that wanted to see Randy Orton. I did not want to bust their bubble and be like, "No, baby, I'm sorry. He's suspended for 2 months." Like I didn't really want to be the person to say that. So I just left that for someone else to actually fill them in and have them do all that. But I really couldn't do it. But honestly, it it wasn't that bad. I actually did like the opener when Alberto Del Rio came out and actually started with the opener. And the way that he made fun of Sheamus was hilarious. Him coming out with Carl Rodriguez coming out dressed as Sheamus, hilarious. I could not stop laughing. And then the real Sheamus finally came out and they started brawling and everything. But the good news about it was that Teddy Long was actually in charge that night. So he decided to break them up and he gave them matches, one for the beginning of the night and one for the end of the night. Now, Alberto Del Rio, his match pretty much started immediately, and it was him versus the Great Khali. Now, everybody was happy to hear the Great Khali's music because it's something to dance to. But as usual, this was a match that was supposed to make Alberto Del Rio look dominant. So of course he actually did win this match. It wasn't really all that bad, but I'm gonna be honest. Alberto Del Rio is extremely handsome and very tall in person. But regardless of that, I really did have a good time watching this match because Ricardo Rodriguez was hilarious with that red hair. I'm sorry, I just could not stop laughing. Um, they had a few moments when they actually did show the Raw rebound. Blah, I really didn't want to even hear about Raw. And yes, I did not do a review. I'm not going to do a review because that Raw was a monstrosity. I literally could not keep my eyes open. It was so freaking terrible that I was like, no, I washed my hands of it. I'm not doing a review. And I'm not going to do one. But anyway, moving on from there. Honestly, the one thing I can definitely say about this is that the best match of my night, the one that I enjoyed, and yes, there were many matches, there were many segments, and the coolest segment was, for me, was the when the Funkasaurus and Tay Long, when they had a little segment actually talking pretty much, just having that little moment, a little powwow. I like that. And I like Brodus Clay. I really do. And Brodus Clay, as usual, has a squash match. I can't remember who the person was. I just know that he looked like Zema Ion. And when he wasn't Zema Ion, it kind of took my it took my attention away. Excuse me. But then Brodus Clay actually came out And he brought the kids up there, had a good time after he won the match. I really did enjoy that part, even though it was a squash match, and I don't like squash matches at all. I really don't. But I'm gonna get the squash matches over with. Okay, Antonio Cesaro. He was supposed to have a debut, and he had his debut, even though his debut lasted only 5 seconds. So I really did not care much, and I don't care much about the whole Oksana thing, as well as the Teddy Long thing. I'm sick to death of it. Really, it's just time to move on. But the another squash match, of course, was Ryback. Now, I never really liked Ryback when it came to TV because the squash matches themselves were stupid. But actually, being a part of SmackDown, it makes me realize that they get people that from the if they get people from either rival cities, rival schools, or just rival towns to actually be the ones that got squashed. So now I'm starting to get the idea of why people enjoy Ryback so much when they actually watch it live because let's face it, it was done. The area that it was at the University of South Carolina. We all know in South Carolina that nobody likes Clemson. I'm sorry. When it comes to USC and when it comes to they're rivals. So of course these guys come from Clemson, and yes, they're gonna really want them to get the beat down because they're from Clemson and they're at USC. Duh. Even though I really didn't like Ryback's squash match, but I don't know if they're going to actually air this. But Ryback seriously got the crowd jumping with his "Feed me!" Everybody was like screaming and just chanting right back. It was absolutely awesome. Great moment. But this was my match of the night. Actually, I have two matches of the night, and I don't know if one of them is going to air, but I'm going to go into it anyway. Now, my match of the night, my first one, was Dolph Ziggler versus Christian. Now, starting off, it was Cody Rhodes coming down, pretty much interrupting the peep show, and it's a given why this is not live. My gosh, they're not even trying. They're like all off kilter. They're not even in sync. They mess up. They botch up pretty much every single freaking time. And for real, they really did mess up this point. But they can edit that out. That's probably the reason why they're thinking that way. But anyway, Cody Rhodes pretty much came in there talking about how it was a fluke on how Christian won. That was pretty much the best segment I ever saw. It really was. Cody Rhodes and Christian were literally at a war of words. I loved that segment. I really did enjoy myself. Period. When they were both on the mic, but it was even better when Dolph Ziggler came out and when Dolph Ziggler kind of interrupted them, and then how Cody Rhodes ended up going at the commentator table and staying with the others. But the match itself, I was kind of fearful of this match because it kind of made me believe at first that Dolph Ziggler was going to be not, he was going to actually be, not looking good in this entire match. That Christian was going to dominate him and not put him over. The one thing I can say about this is that this match, even though that Dolph Ziggler did not win, this match really did him justice. It really gave him the airtime he deserved. It really showcased his talents. Christian really did he always brings out the fighter in you. He always makes you want to do more when you're in a match with him. Seriously. So the one thing I can definitely say about that is this was pretty much my enjoyable match of the night. I loved every bit of it. I really, really did. And this was one of my huge matches of the night because it did wonders for Dolph Ziggler. I loved it. I could not stand the whole Big Show segment, but the one thing I can say about it is it sounds better live. It really does. It's much better live than on TV. And that's one thing I can say about it, and that's the reason why I'm not rating it. But anyway, I can't really necessarily say that the main event of the night was all that great. It wasn't bad, especially, but it did its justice because even though the match I'm going to talk about it did not air, it really did well for Sheamus as a champion. It actually did put him over. I mean, it not put him over, but it actually did make him seem not weak. It really didn't make him look weak. It didn't really make Kane look weak. It really did make them both look better. Now, Kane versus Sheamus was the final match of the night, and Alberto Del Rio interrupted. But I found it quite hilarious when AJ came out and did the little hair thing, and Kane just did this like a puppy dog, like like I was literally just laughing because he looked like a dog, like one of those puppy dogs just cock their head like they don't really understand, and I just kept laughing. It was quite hilarious, and I think it ended well. It ended with Alberto Del Rio interrupting, and it went off the air at that point. Now, at every live show, they actually give the people in the town a treat, a little taste on either what a match is going to be, or maybe bring out one of their favorite folk. Now I'm going to go into something else. Now, two little surprise moments, and I don't know whether the first one's going to air, but I know the last one probably isn't because Booker T and everything left, and I had no idea he was standing next to me. Oh, I wish I took a picture of the guy, but I didn't. But anyway, moving on. The one thing I can say is that the first little surprise segment that I had of the night was when Drew McIntyre was complaining, trying to say that he was going to put the show on hostage until he actually comes out and explains why he keeps losing, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then here comes Triple H. As much as I was happy to see Triple H, I'm like, dude, you got a broken shoulder, right? Or a broken arm. Why are you doing this and moving it? It's been 2 months. I know it has not healed yet. You are not Wolverine. He could not sell his injury to save his life, but I have to say that it was really nice to see him. So I can't entirely complain there. The one thing that I love that they have done for the people of Colombia is give us a steel cage match with Arn Anderson. Yes, Arn freaking Anderson of the Four Horsemen as the special guest enforcer. A steel cage match with Kane and Sheamus, and have Arn Anderson as the special guest enforcer. I actually I recorded that entire moment on my phone. I recorded that entire match on my phone. So until it is time for SmackDown to actually go on YouTube, I am going to upload that entire match on my channel. So stay tuned for that. I will upload it not only on my channel, but also a Wrestling Fan Nation Facebook website for you guys to check it out as well when the time is right to upload it. But anyway, and I also have the AAA segment as well in its entirety, so I'll put that up there as well. But I have to say, I was highly impressed with the steel cage match, especially when Sheamus came down after the match was over and he had a chance to like literally hug people. And yes, it was for the championship match. It was for the championship title, and yeah, of course, we knew Sheamus was going to win. But regardless, it was an awesome experience. Now, the reason why I'm not giving it a rating because it's a completely different experience than you would see it on TV. Because on SmackDown, they edit everything out. So the really important things, the really cool stuff is dropped on the editing floor. And you'll never see it unless you actually are either there or you go and actually go on YouTube and see if somebody has some live footage. That's the only possible way that you can see it. So I can't give it a rating. I have to be unbiased here. So I'm not going to necessarily give it a rating unless I actually watch it again, which is probably something I'm not going to do. So the one thing I can say is that if SmackDown comes to your town, if you're in the States and SmackDown comes to your town, check it out. Don't ever second guess it, because if you go to a live show, it's completely different from watching it on TV. You will get a whole new experience. You will love every bit of it. You will enjoy yourself, and it will be definitely worth the price of the ticket. So definitely check it out. I will have the videos up when it's time. Probably on Friday maybe, or maybe on Thursday. I don't know. Probably Thursday night, like before it's actually Friday morning, so I won't necessarily get in trouble. But anyway, this is the Nation Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. I will see you later, and stay tuned to those videos. Later.